Have you ever wondered how a person can remain active, vibrant, and full of energy well into their 90s, seemingly defying the very concept of age-related decline? Dr. James Chen is a prime example of someone who challenges our assumptions about getting older. At 92 years old, he continues to see patients in his Beacon Hill office in Boston twice a month, and many of these individuals have entrusted their health to him for decades. Observing Dr. Chen in action is an incredible experience, and the first thing you notice about him is a spark of curiosity and vitality that few people possess at any age. It might make you question how he manages to stay so engaged. According to him, there's no complicated regimen required to maintain a full, rewarding life. Rather, it's about small, consistent habits that most people overlook. Those habits might sound almost too simple at first, but they add up in ways that can sustain both body and mind, preventing the slow creep of inactivity that often sets in as people move through their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. In more than 65 years of practice, Dr. Chen has identified two specific areas of the body that, if properly cared for, can help a person maintain their health, vitality, and overall well-being: the feet and the underarms. This idea might seem surprising at first, particularly since we often associate longevity with strategies that focus on internal organs like the heart or liver. But Dr. Chen insists that, while nutrition and regular checkups are undoubtedly important, one cannot afford to ignore the so-called gateways to good health. The feet, he says, act as the foundation upon which the rest of our bodies stand, literally and figuratively. The underarms, on the other hand, are one of the body's primary detoxification channels, harboring lymph nodes that play an integral role in our immune and circulatory systems. By supporting both feet and underarms, you give your body a much-needed boost in handling daily stress, improving circulation, and optimizing detoxification processes. Dr. Chen's story underscores the power of foot care as a building block for overall vitality. Each morning, he begins by checking his feet. He's convinced that the condition of one's feet, including circulation, temperature, and skin quality, can provide valuable clues about a person's overall health. Feet are subjected to the burden of carrying our weight every day, yet they are so often neglected. When you consider the distance the average person walks in a lifetime, it's not surprising that neglecting them can have a ripple effect on your knees, hips, spine, and even your ability to sleep comfortably at night. Some people might brush off the idea that foot care could be so influential, but research from Harvard Medical School supports Dr. Chen's perspective, finding that individuals over 60 who regularly attended to foot health saw a 35% reduction in the risk of cardiovascular issues. It's a substantial finding, and it resonates with Dr. Chen's lifelong practice of daily foot inspection and gentle exercises. He often recounts the story of one of his long-standing patients, John, who initially came to him suffering from chronic fatigue and insomnia. According to Dr. Chen, one of the telltale signs that captured his attention was John's feet. They were unusually cold to the touch and had a pale coloring, indicating poor circulation. While John was otherwise healthy and had no glaring nutritional deficiencies, it quickly became apparent that his feet needed more dedicated attention. Dr. Chen devised a routine for John involving regular soaks in warm water, thorough cleaning, gentle massages, and the application of specific moisturizing creams and lotions to protect the skin and improve blood flow. It might have sounded like a trivial set of steps for someone battling fatigue and insomnia, but within 3 months, John reported that his energy levels had surged. He was sleeping more soundly, waking up feeling refreshed, and had fewer aches in his legs and lower back. Dr. Chen wasn't surprised in the slightest, having witnessed this kind of improvement many times before. To explain why foot care is so transformative, Dr. Chen points to the ancient view that the feet have specific pressure points and nerve endings connected to various organs in the body. Modern science echoes aspects of that philosophy by demonstrating how enhanced circulation in the feet can improve blood flow throughout the body, thereby delivering more nutrients and oxygen to every cell. Even a short daily regimen, soaking in warm water for 3 to 5 minutes, massaging in circular motions, and properly drying, can yield benefits. According to studies from institutions like the Mayo Clinic, this type of foot care strengthens balance, reduces the risk of falls, and even boosts immunity. A 2023 study showed that individuals over 60 who took care of their feet on a regular basis were 30% less likely to experience a fall and had greater overall mobility than people who didn't. Notably, Dr. Chen compares our feet to the roots of a tree, stating that strong roots keep the entire organism healthy and stable. He also pays close attention to seemingly mundane details like footwear, advising people to invest in orthopedically supportive shoes, as well as non-slip mats and gentle brushes that can help exfoliate and cleanse the skin without damaging it. The consistent and gentle nature of this self-care routine is essential. It's not about scrubbing the feet raw or sitting for hours soaking them. It's about focusing on comfort, relaxation, and methodical cleansing. Dr. Chen has often pointed to a patient named Margaret, a woman who, at 78, was almost convinced she would have to give up her morning walks because of severe foot pain. Margaret's story is one of both desperation and hope. She was worried that losing her mobility would lead to isolation, weight gain, and a decline in her overall quality of life. Dr. Chen guided her to create a simple ritual, a quick, warm soak, thorough washing, particularly between the toes, and a gentle massage with a moisturizing cream designed to prevent dryness and cracking. Within weeks, Margaret found that her feet felt less tender, and by 82, she was leading walking groups in her neighborhood, inspiring others to care for their own feet and well-being. For individuals who have particular conditions such as diabetes or limited circulation, Dr. Chen has special recommendations. Always test water temperature with the elbow rather than the hand, because foot sensitivity can be compromised, and it's easy to burn oneself. Additionally, it's crucial to look for any cuts, blisters, or changes in skin color on a daily basis. If there's any sign of a problem, Dr. Chen advises prompt medical consultation. This approach prevents minor issues from escalating into major ones, which can happen quickly for diabetic patients. He also suggests a brief nightly massage session, elevating the feet and massaging upwards to encourage blood flow back toward the heart, something that seems to help reduce nighttime cramps and improve overall sleep quality. Equally important, though perhaps even more surprising, is Dr. Chen's strong emphasis on underarm care. While most people naturally think about deodorant and basic hygiene, the deeper role of the armpits in maintaining health is often overlooked. Dr. Chen's perspective is shaped by his study of both Western medical journals and Eastern traditions that consider the armpits vital points for lymphatic activity. He references Stanford Medical Center research, noting that the lymph nodes located in this region filter out toxins, and an article in a 2023 immunology journal found that a well-maintained underarm area can increase lymphatic flow by up to 40%. This has direct implications for immune function and the body's capacity to handle infections or toxins. One of Dr. Chen's patients, Helen, had recurring respiratory infections that seemingly had no clear cause. She was 70, active, and otherwise healthy, but her body's defenses didn't seem to respond adequately to everyday pathogens. Dr. Chen encouraged her to pay particular attention to her underarms, to stop using deodorants containing aluminum-based compounds, and to regularly perform a gentle lymphatic massage in that area. Within several months, Helen reported having fewer incidents of infection and an overall increase in vitality. Dr. Chen's explanations revolve around the idea that when lymph nodes in the underarms are blocked or irritated, it can create sluggishness in toxin removal and compromise overall circulation in the upper body. While some of the beneficial results may seem anecdotal, there's growing evidence that supports the notion that armpit care can influence both immune and cardiovascular function. Dr. Chen outlines a three-step approach for underarm care. First, he suggests gentle cleansing with a mild, fragrance-free soap. The notion is to avoid harsh chemicals that might disrupt the skin's natural pH or irritate the lymph nodes. He instructs people to clean in circular motions, starting from the outer region and moving inward, which helps stimulate lymphatic flow. Second, thorough drying is crucial, as moisture that remains in the underarms can lead to bacterial growth and hamper effective detoxification. If someone is prone to sweating heavily, Dr. Chen recommends lightly patting the skin throughout the day to keep it dry and clean. Third, he strongly advises against using aluminum-based antiperspirants that may block sweat ducts, as sweat is a natural means of releasing toxins. Instead, he points to natural deodorant alternatives such as baking soda or mineral salt-based options that help control odor without impeding the body's detoxification pathway. In addition to cleansing practices, Dr. Chen is an advocate of brief lymphatic massages that anyone can do. He demonstrates how to use light, gentle strokes from the armpits up toward the collarbone. The goal is to stimulate the lymph flow, reduce shoulder tension, and give a general sense of relief to a typically overlooked part of the body. Robert, a 68-year-old patient with shoulder stiffness and constant fatigue, illustrates how transformative this minor adjustment can be. By switching to a more natural underarm product and massaging the area for a couple of minutes each morning, Robert noticed within weeks that his shoulders felt looser and less achy. His energy levels rose, and he found himself needing fewer breaks during the day. Dr. Chen also points out that any unusual signs under the arms, such as lumps, persistent pain, or changes in skin texture, should prompt a visit to a medical professional for early detection of potential issues. In his view, self-examination of this area is as vital as the foot checks he advocates for. Underarm care, in Dr. Chen's philosophy, ties closely to the broader idea of healthy aging, particularly after 60, because it addresses internal detox pathways. When the body is less burdened by accumulated wastes, energy is freed up for other purposes such as cellular repair, muscle maintenance, and brain function. Combining a solid underarm care routine with consistent foot care can yield a state of balance that positively affects everything from mobility to sleep quality. Dr. Chen firmly believes that these rituals help maintain a sense of autonomy in one's later years, reducing reliance on medications or medical interventions unless absolutely necessary. Yet, Dr. Chen's advice doesn't end with physical care. He's also a keen observer of the mental and social choices that people make, particularly as they grow older. He's seen time and again how certain habits or mindsets can sabotage the health and happiness of individuals in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Over the years, he has compiled a list of 8 major mistakes to avoid if one wants to remain vigorous and content while heading toward 100. In each case, he typically offers anecdotal stories or patient experiences that illustrate these points, driving home how small shifts in attitude can create a big difference in a person's daily life. The first point he stresses is learning to say no. While generosity and kindness are virtues, Dr. Chen warns against unchecked softness that can lead to situations where older adults find themselves manipulated or taken advantage of. He recalls a case with a man called Chen, who'd spent his retired years helping people in his community with financial assistance, errands, and emotional support. One young man, unemployed, began relying on Chen for repeated handouts. Eventually, this man robbed Chen, taking advantage of the trust he had built. Dr. Chen repeats this cautionary tale to remind people that healthy boundaries are a form of self-care. They protect not only one's resources, but also emotional well-being. If you're never able to say no, you can become drained physically and financially. Dr. Chen believes that establishing boundaries is especially critical as one gets older and potentially more vulnerable. Second, he warns about the pitfalls of excessive optimism. While a positive outlook can certainly enhance one's quality of life, Dr. Chen distinguishes between a balanced sense of hope and an over-the-top optimism that blinds people to real dangers. In relationships, for instance, constantly forgiving toxic behavior in the hope that someone will miraculously change often only enables further disrespect. This kind of misguided optimism can erode self-esteem and lead to heartbreak. Dr. Chen advises his patients to keep their eyes open, be pragmatic about others' actions, and understand that sometimes a cautious stance is necessary for self-preservation. Third, Dr. Chen underscores the importance of choosing friends wisely. He sometimes says that real friends are like rare gems, forming connections over the years that become more valuable as time passes. Social circles can shrink as people age, so investing your energy in genuine relationships that uplift, support, and align with your values becomes paramount. He warns about superficial acquaintances who don't truly care about one's well-being. Surrounding yourself with negative or toxic influences can hasten mental and emotional decline. Instead, Dr. Chen suggests looking for individuals who share common interests and encourage personal growth. Whether it's through community groups, local events, religious gatherings, or volunteer work, cultivating bonds that bring joy can have a profound impact on mental and physical health. Fourth, he reminds people to pay extra attention to those who are in their closest circles. As people grow older, deep trust and strong mutual understanding become even more valuable. Toxic ties, even if they're within the family, can sap one's energy and enthusiasm for life. Dr. Chen encourages older adults to seek forgiveness or closure when necessary, but to also accept that not every relationship can be mended. Sometimes, focusing on the people who reciprocate love and respect is the healthiest path. True friends and caring relatives who form your inner circle can make the golden years truly golden by offering companionship, empathy, and practical assistance. Fifth, Dr. Chen urges individuals to ensure their financial stability. Money might seem like a mundane topic when you're talking about health, but from Dr. Chen's observations, financial independence fosters self-confidence, reduces stress, and helps you secure timely medical care. He's seen patients who neglected their finances and found themselves unable to afford the treatments or lifestyle adjustments that would have improved their quality of life. By contrast, those who maintained or built a cushion of savings were able to make decisions from a place of security rather than fear. Dr. Chen suggests that, as people approach retirement, they consult a financial advisor or at least review their budgets to ensure they can handle unexpected costs. Even smaller steps, like putting aside a modest amount of money each month, can add up and provide peace of mind later. Sixth on Dr. Chen's list is the all-important directive to treasure your health. Health truly is wealth, particularly once you are past 60. He advocates simple, consistent routines rather than extreme diets or punishing exercise regimens. A balanced approach that includes physical movement, be it walking, light cardio, or stretching, nourishing food, ample hydration, and proper sleep can protect you from many issues that commonly arise in older age. He emphasizes regular checkups, saying that catching potential problems early can make a world of difference in treatment outcomes. Just as important is nurturing a positive mental attitude, maintaining a sense of purpose, and ensuring that you get social interaction. Dr. Chen often smiles when he says that a daily walk in a park, combined with a friendly chat with neighbors, can do more for your heart than you'd ever guess. Seventh, Dr. Chen encourages showing tolerance and patience in family relationships. As people grow older, it's common to become set in one's ways, and that can lead to tension with younger family members. Dr. Chen mentions that some seniors inadvertently push their loved ones away by constantly critiquing or lecturing, forgetting that times have changed and methods of communication differ. Being tolerant doesn't mean accepting disrespect, but it does mean trying to see other perspectives, offering guidance only when asked, and remembering the value of empathy. Just as older adults want understanding, younger ones do too. Dr. Chen believes that bridging this gap can lead to a happier home life, where the love shared among generations becomes a source of strength rather than conflict. Eighth, and finally, Dr. Chen says you should release excessive worries about your descendants. He frequently cites an old proverb that everyone has their own path of happiness and sorrow to navigate. Overprotecting adult children or grandchildren can rob them of the chance to learn independence and resilience. This is not a call for indifference. It's a reminder that at a certain point, allowing your children to make their own decisions and even their own mistakes can be an act of love. Many older adults burden themselves with stress about how their children will fare, forgetting to also safeguard their own mental and emotional health. According to Dr. Chen, the best example you can set is to live your own life fully, practice self-care, and maintain peace of mind. When you do that, you not only remain healthier and happier, but you also demonstrate a way of living that younger generations can look up to. Taken together, foot care, underarm care, and these lifestyle guidelines form a comprehensive plan for healthy aging. Dr. Chen's advice might sound straightforward, but it's the consistency that often trips people up. It's easy to soak your feet once, or to briefly try a natural deodorant, but it requires discipline to incorporate these habits day after day. Dr. Chen stands by the idea that simplicity and repetition are keys to making any health plan stick. Rather than diving into an overwhelming system of rules, he advocates focusing on a few central actions, like cleaning and massaging your feet, switching to Kinder underarm products, and cultivating strong boundaries in your social life, and letting those small changes accumulate in the long run. Of course, some people balk at these suggestions, believing that if something so basic were truly effective, everyone would already be doing it. But Dr. Chen counters that a lot of potent lifestyle habits are hiding in plain sight. They seem too simple to be taken seriously, so people dismiss them, preferring more glamorous or high-tech solutions. Meanwhile, he's living evidence of how consistent foot care, mindful underarm hygiene, balanced social choices, and a positive but grounded outlook can keep someone active well into their 90s. Walking into his office, you wouldn't guess his age just by looking at him. He still has a steady stride and a sharp mind, apparently benefiting from the self-care that he's preached for decades. If his practice is any indication, there's merit in focusing on the fundamentals. It's not only about the physical benefits either. Dr. Chen believes that routines like soaking the feet and massaging the underarms also bring a form of mindfulness to one's day. In a world that moves rapidly, with many distractions, taking 10 or 15 minutes for yourself can be both grounding and therapeutic. Instead of viewing these activities as chores, Dr. Chen likes to describe them as small rituals. The sensory experience of warm water on the feet, the gentle pressure of a thumb during a massage, the refreshing touch of mild soap, and the sense of cleanliness afterward. All of these can encourage a calmer state of mind. When you approach these tasks with intention, they become a daily check-in with your body, helping you notice small changes before they become big problems. From a public health standpoint, some skeptics point out that not everyone is in a position to devote time to these habits, especially if they're working long hours or have multiple responsibilities. Dr. Chen's response is that even 2 or 3 minutes of foot or underarm attention can make a difference. If someone can't soak their feet before bed, they might at least incorporate a quick massage or thorough washing in the shower. The key isn't to find the perfect scenario, but to adapt to one's individual circumstances. A single parent might do a foot soak once a week instead of daily, but if they remain aware of the importance of checking their feet, they can catch issues such as blisters, cracks, or infection early on. Likewise, a quick wash with cool water under the arms might replace a longer routine on days when time is scarce. Dr. Chen also talks about how foot care and armpit care are intimately tied to posture and self-confidence. When you walk without foot pain, you're more likely to stand upright, move more gracefully, and venture out of the house for exercise or social activities. When your underarms feel fresh and clean, you carry yourself with ease, unburdened by concerns about odor or discomfort. These simple comforts can encourage people to stay social and physically engaged, rather than withdrawing due to aches, pains, or self-consciousness. Over the years, he's seen many patients lose their desire to go out merely because of foot or joint pain, which sets off a cycle of isolation, reduced activity, and poorer health outcomes. Addressing foot issues early helps people remain confident and involved in their communities. Similarly, addressing underarm health often correlates with better immune function, meaning fewer colds or infections, and thus fewer missed events or social gatherings. He also points out how these daily habits encourage better mental health. Dr. Chen notes that individuals who practice mindful self-care often report feeling more in tune with their bodies and less anxious overall. They sense a measure of control over their well-being, and this sense of control can be empowering, especially in older age when many things, like the health of friends and loved ones or the inevitability of time, feel beyond one's grasp. By nurturing yourself in these small ways, you remind yourself that you still have an important role in shaping your daily experience. That mental shift alone can lift the mood and spark a brighter outlook, making the years after 60, 70, or even 80 far more fulfilling. Returning to the cautionary tales about social pitfalls, Dr. Chen emphasizes that it's never too late to reevaluate relationships, set boundaries, or learn how to say no. He acknowledges that older generations often come from a culture of politeness and deference, which can sometimes leave them vulnerable. However, he believes that personal growth can continue at any age, and practicing a firmer stance with family, friends, and acquaintances can be surprisingly liberating. He shares anecdotes about patients who, after adopting these new social strategies, found they had more time and energy for hobbies, travel, and interests that they had neglected because they were constantly being used for favors or emotional labor. This shift often brings about a renewed zest for life, showing that healthy aging encompasses not just the body but also the mind, emotions, and personal boundaries. Similarly, Dr. Chen's advice about avoiding excessive optimism isn't meant to extinguish hope. It's about recognizing the difference between healthy positivity, which can buoy us during challenging times, and a wishful thinking that ignores red flags. He's seen older adults lend money repeatedly to someone who never repays, expecting a miraculous transformation that never comes. He's also seen people get into toxic romantic relationships in their later years, thinking they can fix a partner's problems. Such actions are draining, and Dr. Chen believes part of aging gracefully involves protecting your emotional reserves. Even if you do get disappointed, acknowledging reality sooner rather than later can spare you additional heartbreak. When he addresses the subject of friendships, Dr. Chen often provides examples of patients who found their true companions later in life, attending local classes, volunteering, or engaging in spiritual communities where they met people who share their values. Having a small circle of loyal friends can be invaluable for emotional support, practical help, and simply enjoying the little pleasures of life. For instance, Margaret, the woman who overcame foot pain, later formed a walking group in her neighborhood. This brought her into contact with like-minded individuals who encouraged each other's health journeys. Being in this group also kept her accountable for her daily foot care, as she didn't want to let pain deter her from joining their walks. In turn, her story inspired others who felt hesitant about walking due to minor aches. On the topic of paying attention to your inner circle, Dr. Chen acknowledges that for some people, family can be a complicated web of ties. If there's conflict, it might be beneficial to address it head-on, but also to recognize your limits. Sometimes, it's wiser to step back, especially when tensions run high, to maintain your own emotional balance. He has heard countless tales of seniors drained by long-standing family feuds that never seem to resolve. His stance is that you can't force harmony, but you can create a peaceful environment for yourself by not engaging in endless arguments. Meanwhile, if there are relatives who consistently support and uplift you, it makes sense to invest time in those relationships, offering kindness and care in return. This approach can foster a sense of closeness that becomes increasingly valuable with each passing year. Financial stability, Dr. Chen reiterates, plays a big part in safeguarding your autonomy. While money isn't everything, he's observed many patients who became depressed or lost their independence because they had to rely on family members for essential needs. That reliance sometimes led to conflicts or manipulative behavior from relatives or friends who held the purse strings. Conversely, those who had some savings or a steady pension could pay for their own needs, choose their medical services, and even afford small pleasures like occasional travel or dining out. This independence had a noticeable effect on their mental health and sense of self-worth. Dr. Chen believes that, for many people, it's not about being rich but about being resourceful and planning ahead so that you're not caught off guard by emergencies. Treasure your health is a mantra Dr. Chen repeats often. Too many of us take for granted our ability to walk, move freely, or see clearly, only realizing how vital these functions are once they start to deteriorate. Preventative measures, like foot soaks or underarm massages, are just one piece of the puzzle. Dr. Chen also encourages a balanced approach to diet, whole foods, ample fruits and vegetables, and moderated intake of processed products. Adequate sleep is something he underscores time and again, noting that good rest is crucial for physical repair and emotional balance. He also acknowledges the role of spiritual or meditative practices for those who find comfort in them as a way to handle stress and cultivate inner peace. In family relationships, Dr. Chen's call for tolerance and patience is based on witnessing countless miscommunications over the decades. Often, he says, older adults grew up in a time of stricter discipline and have difficulty relating to the more casual attitudes of younger generations. Recognizing that each generation has its own norms can foster compassion. When seniors approach younger family members with curiosity rather than judgment, it opens the door for connection instead of criticism. Dr. Chen has told stories of grandparents who discovered a whole new avenue of bonding when they decided to learn about their grandchildren's interests, whether that was video games, new music, or social media. Meanwhile, younger people appreciated the acceptance and were more likely to listen to advice offered without scorn or lecturing. Finally, letting go of excessive worries about descendants is one of the hardest lessons for many. As a parent or grandparent, it's natural to want the best for your offspring, but too much anxiety can lead to micromanaging their choices. Dr. Chen likens this to preventing a caterpillar from breaking out of its cocoon, thereby hampering its development into a butterfly. When children are no longer children, they need the latitude to make decisions, face challenges, and learn from mistakes. Dr. Chen points out that seeing an older adult who is content in their own life, who practices self-care, and who respects boundaries can be a powerful model for the next generation. Rather than instructing them on every step, you show them through your own conduct how to handle difficulties and maintain well-being. As we weave all of Dr. Chen's insights together, a picture emerges of aging that's not marked by decline, but by conscious choices. The feet and underarms become metaphors for areas of life we neglect, the foundations and the detox pathways that need our attention if we are to remain stable and free from unhealthy buildup. The social boundaries and mental habits he advocates for likewise aim to clear away toxicity and reinforce a strong base for emotional and financial health. None of these strategies are meant to serve as quick fixes. Instead, they represent a philosophy of consistent, mindful daily care for body and spirit. If you were to spend a day with Dr. Chen, you'd see him start his morning with a foot check, wiggling his toes, perhaps doing a short foot soak, then drying them meticulously and massaging them. He'd do a gentle underarm wash in the shower, perhaps follow it with a quick lymphatic massage. Throughout his day, he'd speak firmly yet kindly when setting limits with anyone who might overstep. He'd engage with people who energize him, avoid those who drain him, and remain vigilant about his finances while spending where it matters, on quality healthcare, nourishing meals, and small pleasures that enrich his life. He wouldn't let family conflicts spiral out of control, preferring respectful dialogue, and he'd avoid overworrying about what his grown children choose to do with their lives, trusting that he's guided them the best he can. It's no wonder so many of Dr. Chen's patients return to him year after year. Even those who have moved away, making the trip back to Boston to check in, they see in him the realization of a dream many share, a life unbound by the number of years gone by. He greets them with warmth and a direct gaze, sometimes even a witty remark, and they're reminded that it's possible to keep one's mind sharp and one's body mobile well into one's 90s if the right steps are taken consistently. While modern medicine has made enormous strides in treating diseases, Dr. Chen's perspective emphasizes that prevention and self-care often remain the most potent forms of healthcare. His approach doesn't dismiss the importance of medications or surgeries when needed, but he contends that many common ailments, especially those related to circulation, mobility, and low-level toxicity, can be mitigated through the practices he advocates. He views the body holistically, understanding that foot health can affect the spine, heart, and mental state, while underarm health can influence the immune system, lymphatic function, and a sense of personal comfort. Over the years, some might accuse Dr. Chen of oversimplifying, but he counters that our fast-paced lifestyles have complicated health unnecessarily. He believes there's a place for technology and advanced medical knowledge, yet he wishes more people would revisit the fundamentals taught by both ancient wisdom and modern research. Foot soaks and underarm massages might not sound revolutionary, but the science backing the improvements in circulation, detoxification, and balance is growing. It's exactly these routine habits that Dr. Chen has practiced himself, allowing him to remain so sprightly and cognitively engaged at an age when many have resigned themselves to frailty. In a larger sense, Dr. Chen's teachings suggest that aging is a continuum, not an endpoint. Each decade can be approached with curiosity, diligence, and certain guiding principles that make all the difference in how one experiences the passage of time. Because he has witnessed how a lack of self-care can spiral into severe health problems, he takes pride in offering small, doable steps rather than drastic transformations. Many of his patients are relieved to discover that something as simple as soaking feet or switching deodorants can yield tangible positive outcomes, especially when combined with supportive relationships and a clear sense of personal boundaries. Even for those who are younger, adopting these habits early can set the stage for a healthier later life. Imagine entering your 60s and 70s with strong, well-cared-for feet that never stopped receiving proper attention, or with a lymphatic system kept in good shape by daily underarm hygiene and massages. Add to that a circle of trustworthy friends, financial security, and an ability to say no to toxic influences, and you've got a recipe for a golden era that is truly golden. Dr. Chen acknowledges that nobody's life is without challenges, and that living to 100 or beyond doesn't mean one won't face setbacks. But the goal, in his mind, is to meet those challenges with the strongest body and mind possible. By centering your routine around foot and underarm care, boundary setting, wise optimism, close friendships, and balanced emotions, you're in a better position to weather life's storms. Aches and pains might crop up, but they won't necessarily define you. You might lose friends along the way, but you'll appreciate those who remain all the more. Financial hiccups might arise, but you'll be better prepared for them. And while you may worry about your children or grandchildren, you'll also trust that they, too, can learn to stand on their own 2 feet, perhaps literally, if they follow the foot care routine you model. Some people who have tried Dr. Chen's suggestions say that the hardest part is simply remembering to do them every single day. It's easy to forget or to skip a session when you're tired or busy, but Dr. Chen likens it to brushing your teeth. Once you get past the learning curve, the practices become second nature. You might actually come to look forward to those few minutes of mindful self-care, especially when you start feeling the benefits. Many patients report less swelling in their ankles, reduced foot cramps at night, and even a sense of emotional relaxation that comes from focusing on these small but significant tasks. As for underarms, some are hesitant to abandon their usual antiperspirant or switch to natural products, worrying about odor or sweat. Dr. Chen advises a trial period of a week or 2, coupled with thorough washing and the occasional freshening up during the day. Often, people find they can manage perspiration without blocking their pores, and they come to prefer the milder, more natural approach. Some even discover that once they wean themselves off of aluminum-based products, their body's own odor becomes less severe, as if the body's detox pathways are functioning more efficiently. This can lead to a surprising boost in confidence, reinforcing the habit. Returning to the big picture lesson, Dr. Chen's practice is about empowerment. He shows that small lifestyle tweaks, done consistently, can pay huge dividends. There's also a more subtle lesson. Paying attention to your feet and underarms can make you more attentive to other parts of your life you might have neglected. Perhaps it sparks a curiosity about better nutrition or leads you to reevaluate certain friendships. Maybe it gives you the courage to be firmer with people who have been taking advantage of your kindness. Or it might prompt you to ask for help when you need it, instead of trying to be self-sufficient to a fault. In each of these areas, physical care, emotional boundaries, social circles, financial planning, the underlying theme is caring enough about yourself to invest in a healthier, happier future. Dr. Chen believes it's not selfish to prioritize self-care. On the contrary, when you are in good shape, you have more to give, whether that's love, time, or wisdom. You can truly savor the moments with loved ones and continue to engage in the world on your own terms. His patient Margaret is a prime example, turning her own foot health struggle into an opportunity to inspire a walking club in her neighborhood, helping others find their stride. Likewise, Helen's transition away from aluminum-based deodorants and daily lymphatic massage is a reminder that sometimes all it takes is a little guidance and motivation to break a lifetime of habit. It's particularly heartening to see how these practices fit together into a seamless routine. A person might begin by focusing on foot care, noticing a decline in foot pain and an improvement in sleep quality. This then provides the energy to maintain better posture and perhaps engage in more exercise, which in turn supports cardiovascular health. Meanwhile, gentle underarm care and massage might reduce the frequency of minor infections, lifting one's mood. Spurred on by these successes, a person might decide to reevaluate their friendships or finances, striving to eliminate sources of stress and negativity. As the environment around them becomes healthier and more stable, they might find new joy in family gatherings, bridging generational gaps with open communication. All the while, Dr. Chen's refrain is to keep it simple and consistent. He doesn't demand perfection from any of his patients, nor from himself. He merely suggests that the accumulation of small steps can lead to profoundly positive shifts over time. If you miss a foot soak one day or forget your underarm massage, that's okay. Just pick it up again the next day. Life will always throw you curveballs, and nobody should feel guilty if they have to adapt or skip a routine occasionally. The key is maintaining an overall commitment that extends through the weeks, months, and years. Looking back at Dr. Chen's own life, his approach has been tested time and again. Born into a family that valued both traditional wisdom and modern progress, he chose to study medicine and integrate different schools of thought, always with the goal of finding practical ways to help people. His longevity and clear-headedness at 92 speak volumes about the effectiveness of these seemingly modest recommendations. In an era where many are searching for secret potions or advanced technology to stave off aging, Dr. Chen's message is refreshingly grounded. Take care of your foundation, support your body's natural detox, cultivate healthy relationships, and protect your mental well-being. The simplicity of that message doesn't reduce its power. Indeed, the numerous case studies and personal anecdotes from his decades of practice stand as testament that these measures genuinely work. Patients like John, Margaret, Helen, and Robert have benefited in direct, life-altering ways, whether by overcoming fatigue, foot pain, immune challenges, or tension. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's cautionary tales about social and emotional well-being remind us that no amount of physical care can offset the damage caused by emotional stress, toxic relationships, or a lack of financial stability. The holistic picture matters. And so, as you reflect on how Dr. Chen's insights might apply to your own life, consider starting small. Maybe tonight, before heading to bed, you could do a quick foot soak or a gentle underarm massage. Perhaps tomorrow, you'll reevaluate a relationship that's been draining you, deciding whether it's time to set firmer boundaries. Or you might see where you can tighten your budget to prioritize health-related expenses. Each of these steps, though minor in isolation, could mark the beginning of a shift toward a more vibrant and resilient version of yourself. Remember that aging doesn't have to be a linear decline. It can be a journey of continuous adaptation and growth. Dr. Chen exemplifies this possibility, and his patients echo that sentiment. Age can bestow wisdom, perspective, and a sense of gratitude for life's blessings. By mindfully caring for our bodies, especially those parts like the feet and underarms that carry immense responsibility yet receive little attention, and by choosing nurturing relationships over toxic ones, we can tip the scales in favor of health and happiness. Dr. Chen's 8 mistakes to avoid: neglecting to say no, being excessively optimistic to our own detriment, failing to choose wise friends, ignoring our closest ties, forfeiting financial stability, dismissing the value of health, turning intolerant toward family, and obsessing over the future of our descendants, provide a roadmap for maintaining balance. Each error, if left unchecked, can multiply stress and accelerate decline. Yet each one is equally an opportunity for learning. If you've realized you've been too lenient with certain acquaintances, you can begin to establish boundaries. If you see that your finances are precarious, you can consult someone you trust and start planning. If you notice friction with your adult children, you can try the route of empathy and open communication rather than insisting on being right. And throughout it all, you can keep caring for your feet, massaging your underarms, and observing how small acts of love for your own body echo out into a life that feels richer and more secure. In the end, Dr. Chen's message is not just about living to 100. It's about living well at every stage. The golden years don't have to be defined by decline if you approach them with curiosity, mindful routines, and a willingness to learn from your experiences. Dr. Chen invites everyone, regardless of age, to invest in health practices today that will pay dividends tomorrow. Start with those feet that carry you around all day. Give them the attention they deserve. Then look to those underarms, the detox center that can strengthen your immune system and help reduce the burdens your body faces. Be thoughtful in how you deal with people. Protect yourself, choose allies wisely, remain open-minded but not blindly optimistic, and maintain your independence. Doing so will not only support your body but also keep your mind and spirit refreshed, so that, like Dr. Chen, you'll continue to learn, grow, and contribute to the world around you. We love to hear your feedback on these ideas. Have you tried any of Dr. Chen's foot care or underarm routines? Or perhaps you've experienced a significant shift by learning to say no or reevaluating a toxic friendship. Your experiences could inspire others to embark on a similar path of proactive, mindful aging. Also, let us know if you have any questions about how to modify these tips to suit your particular needs, whether you're dealing with conditions like diabetes or simply a busy schedule. The fundamental principles remain valid, but customizing them to your life is the key to making them sustainable. It's worth remembering that the goal is to cultivate a kind of synergy. The better your feet feel, the more you'll walk and stay active. The less burdened your lymphatic system is, the more energy you'll have for the things you love. The healthier your boundaries, the less drained you'll be by manipulative people. The more you treasure your health, the fewer regrets you'll have about missed opportunities to embrace what life has to offer. Each of these elements reinforces the others, propelling you toward a state of well-being that can transcend the limitations often associated with aging. If anything, Dr. Chen's life story shows what's possible when these pieces align. At 92, he still engages with his community and maintains a professional practice, demonstrating daily that chronological age and functional age aren't necessarily the same. He's a physician who has seen the full spectrum of human health and illness, and he's boiled down his advice to some of the most basic, yet potent actions anyone can adopt. His calling is to share this knowledge, hoping that others will find the same vigor, joy, and sense of purpose that he clearly possesses. So, whether you're just entering your 50s or already in your 80s, consider adopting Dr. Chen's approach. Start small. Check your feet tonight. Maybe give them a light massage. Be mindful of your armpits the next time you're in the shower. Think about who in your life uplifts you and who brings negativity. Reflect on your ability to say no when necessary. Look into your finances to ensure you can support your health needs. These actions aren't flashy, but they form the bedrock of a lifestyle that can make the difference between struggling through later years or thriving in them. There is a comforting sense of control and empowerment that comes from knowing you can influence your well-being in direct, hands-on ways. You don't need advanced medical equipment or expensive therapies, just a basin of warm water, a mild soap, some good moisturizer, a sense of caution around antiperspirants, and an open mind about your social environment. As simple as it sounds, these steps can yield profound outcomes. They speak to the larger truth that often it's the overlooked basics that keep us healthy and happy for the long haul. If you're curious about more of Dr. Chen's advice or personal stories from his decades of practice, feel free to share what you'd like to learn. There's a wealth of experiences and lessons from his extensive career that touch upon everything from diet and stress management to spiritual perspectives on aging and the role of lifelong learning. This text merely scratches the surface of his holistic worldview, but the principles outlined here should give you a strong foundation to build upon. For now, take stock of where you are in your own health journey. Perhaps the biggest lesson from Dr. Chen is that it's never too late to make positive changes. Whether you're 25 or 85, mindful self-care will always yield benefits. With that mindset, you could find yourself, decades from now, looking back with gratitude that you took the time to care for your feet, underarms, mental well-being, and relationships, paving the way for an active and fulfilling life. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments if this resonates with you, and let us know if these tips are helpful or if you've tried similar methods. We wish everyone good health, emotional balance, and the confidence to embrace each decade with optimism grounded in sensible habits. And remember, the simplest changes can sometimes bring the most profound outcomes, as long as you remain consistent and attentive. Take the next step today, and you might be surprised at how much better you feel tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That way, you'll stay updated on more insights, tips, and stories that could help you on your journey to a stronger, healthier, and happier life. Most importantly, never underestimate the power of gentle, mindful self-care. It can anchor you through life's changes, allowing you to continue discovering new joys and opportunities as the years go by. And with that, see you in the next video.